This topic reminds me of one of the toughest decisions I have ever made in my life. Back in 2006, I was in a dilemma about whether to change my major or not. On the one hand, I loved the subject that I was studying, physical education. In order to become a PE major, I invested a great deal of time training day in and day out, notwithstanding the sweat, tears, and blood. But as time went by, in spite of my ambitious personality, I had to face the truth that I would never be able to play any sports at a professional level and that I might not be able to find a decent job with a degree in PE. Disappointed, I consulted my tutor, who later suggested that I should have my major changed, which gave me a ray of hope. Yet, the problem lied in that I didn't know what else to study if I gave up PE. So I spent 3 consecutive nights chewing upon the question. At one point, my high school teacher's remarks about me flashed across my head. I recalled that he once said that I was gifted in language learning and that if I could persist, I would achieve something in this field. Inspired by his remarks, the next morning I summoned up my guts and handed in my application for transfer from the PE department to the English department of my uni. Fortunately, the Chancellor approved my application, and this decision turned out to be a right one, as a couple of years later, I graduated a high distinction. From this experience, I learned a lesson that sometimes we just have to take the risk for what we really want, and everything comes at a price. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and that is the experience I want to share with you.
Well, I would like to talk about the times, that I decided to travel and maybe to study overseas for 4 years. It will be quite of serious decisions that took me and my family over a month to think about it, right? So during this time, we visited a lot of English institutions and those overseas study agencies to gather the knowledge or the basic background from which country I should study in, and also what kind of courses I'm going to face after I stayed in another country. Well, so just a lot of problems or dilemmas that came up across our mind, which is quite frustrated. So we even thought about maybe we should just quit it for all those costs will be accumulated and cause the high stress for my family. However, my father and one of the teachers that I encountered that gave me a lot of support, which completely changed my life. Um, I would say I hadn't a lot of the you could say the ambitions, right, on changing, on providing the better living standard for my family. Well, however, this kind of ideas also make me feeling quite of guilty. Then um, the tutor from which English institutions is not quite of appropriate to mention over here. He told me it's not about yourself, right? It's not about your family. It's basically just a process or maybe a procedure in life which would transcend or just alleviate your thought into another level. Those are the experience that you accumulate or just went through without value or maybe without the um, evaluated or substantial how to say that with this clarified, right? Maybe the value could not be clarified, maybe something quite of priceless. It's a priceless. So during these times I might encounter a lot of difficulties, and he told me with all those problems overcame, it would help me to foster some of the toughness in my heart, and also with that attitude nothing could lay as an obstacle in my future. So just tried my best to stay in there to see if I can survive or just whether I could deal with all those challenges. If things go south, I mean, if things just not worked out, I can always come back. Well, so with this encouragement or the how to say the soothing consultant, I finally decide I should stay and at least give myself a shot on to see how far I can go. What is the role of parents in the making decision in the family? So generally, parents, they are people who more experienced since they have already worked in the society for a certain period of time, and also they have their own connections, and usually they would come up with more logical ideas to help the family just avoid problems or get into a better situation. Usually they would play the leading role or the key determiners, right, in the family matters. Compare this with the parental roles in early generations. So as far as I'm concerned, the roles of the parent in here in China, since we are a country quite of traditional, it hasn't been changed a lot. All right, so it's still that parents, they play the major determined factors when it comes to whatever important in the future. So it just exactly like in the ancient China, that the parental or the paternal systematic still kicking in, still working quite well, I guess. Therefore, it hasn't been any change. How much freedom do you think young people will have in the future? So I guess in the future it will be full of possibility, right? And after the youngsters, they traveled and studied overseas a bit in a foreign country, which they have the chance to involve or maybe participate into a lot of the democracy. I guess they would trying to fight for the freedoms in the past after they get back to their family, maybe come back to here in China. Besides, well, I guess future is the time they might also have their own kids or their own family. Uh, Maybe just like cycling. All right, they would play the paternal or maybe the parenting side as their parents did in the past. Yeah, so they would dominate. Okay.
This topic is a difficult decision you once made and proven to be right in the end. You should say when you made this decision and what the decision was, who was with you, and explain why you had a deep impression on this decision. Well, a difficult decision is whether starting a jogging routine. In the last year, I made a decision to jog every day as long as the weather is fine, and it took me nearly a week before I finalized the decision. The reason why I had been feeling so torn between whether or not to jog regularly is I had been busy with my work for nearly 1 year, which made me barely any time or mood doing any exercise. Every day, after a long and hard work day, all I wanted was nothing but putting my feet up and just taking a nap or something like that. But what I have to admit is that too much time involved in work without nearly any physical exercising had made me out of shape. I always felt under the weather, suffering from headache or cold every now and then. So I guess it's time for me to do something to change this situation. Finally, I decided to begin to jog, and this decision turned out to be a wise move, making me a better man. It's beneficial to me both physically and mentally. First of all, jogging helps me tone up my muscles and keeps me in pink. Before I started jogging, I often felt kind of pain in my neck, and the waist, and suffered a lot from years mentioned above. As I had to stay in front of computers all day long, but now all the pains are gone for good, and I can't remember the last time I I came down with some cold or headache. What's more, jogging is also helpful for my mental health. Whenever I'm in blue, it will always have the magical power to cheer me up and get me out of depression. And I can also sort through my problems and my emotions through jogging, which has made me more focused and balanced. So as you can see, although I had wrestled with the idea of whether or not jogging for a long time, my decision has been proven helpful. What is the most important factor in decision making? Well, it depends on what kind of decision you are going to make. If you feel torn between different jobs, the salary is normally the top priority for those who are supposed to bring home the bacon. And if you want to go traveling and have to choose one of the holiday destinations, you would probably go for the one where you can enjoy a beautiful view and the cost you need to pay will not be beyond your budget. Should parents make decisions for their children? Well, I think parents should make decisions for their kids when they are very young, say infants, because they are too young to take care of themselves. So things like what to eat and when to go to bed should be planned by their parents to make sure they lead a healthy life. But I think parents should give their kids a say in some aspects after they go to primary school, like what courses they should take and when to finish their homework, which will nurture their later life in terms of time management and also help them to find what they truly love. What can people learn from wrong decisions? Well, although no one wants to make mistakes, we cannot avoid it, and also we can learn a lot from them. Normally, we can avoid making the same mistake again in the future by reflecting on the whole process and the reason that leads to our wrong behavior. If handled properly, the wrong decisions once made can make us better. Do you like to make quick decisions? No. Making decisions in a rush always leads to some mistakes that could have been avoided if we think twice, I suppose. When you try to make some decision as soon as possible, you would probably ignore some important details or aspects, which makes your decision far from being considerate or rational. So every time when I want to jump to conclusion on something, I just tell myself to take a deep breath and calm down. Do you think adults always make good decisions than children? Well, in most cases, yes. Compared to kids, adults tend to rationally weigh the pros and cons of every possible option before they finalize a decision. Due to being mentally and emotionally immature, kids jump to conclusion on a whim, which usually turns out to be wrong or unwise.
Okay, so let's listen to some responses on the part 2 topic of a difficult decision.
This topic reminds me of one of the toughest decisions I have ever made in my life.
Okay, it's a different but acceptable way to introduce your part 2 talk, the sentence here.
Back in 2006, I was in a dilemma
I had a dilemma.
whether to change my major or not. On the one hand, I loved the subject that I was studying,
I love the subject. All right, it's a little bit of stress there.
physical education. In order to become a PE major, I invested a great deal of time training day in and day out, notwithstanding the sweat, tears, and blood.
Now hang on a second. Why is he using notwithstanding here? Because notwithstanding means like in spite of. But this is something difficult, training day in, day out. Blood, sweat, and tears is something difficult. So if you have two things that are of the same kind, you can't use the word notwithstanding. And then when we get to this idiom, he got the order a little bit wrong. There is a specific order. It's blood, sweat, and tears in that order.
But as time went by, in spite of my ambitious personality,
So now here he uses in spite of correctly. In spite of and notwithstanding have the same meaning. So here, let's look at the contrast. Ambitious personality. But despite this, he will never be able to play sports.
ambitious personality, I had to face the truth that I would never be able to play any sports at a professional level, and that I might not be able to find a decent job with a degree in PE.
Okay. Look at this here. He starts his sentence with a participle used as an adjective. Disappointed. I consulted.
Disappointed, I consulted my tutor, who later suggested that I should have my major changed, which gave me a ray of hope.
Okay, this is pretty nice. We have this relative clause here, and we have a little bit of an idiom. Ray of hope, like a ray from the sun.
Yet the problem lied in that I didn't know what
I don't know what that word is. The problem what?
problem lied in that I
The problem lied it. I'm not sure.
didn't know what else to study if I gave up PE. So I spent 3 consecutive nights chewing upon the question.
Chewing upon the question, maybe that's what he's saying. I think what he's trying to say is chewing over the question.
At one point, my high school teacher's remarks about me flashed across my head.
Flashed across my head. That sounds like it's flashed through my mind, not across your head.
I recalled that he once said that I was gifted in language learning, and that if I could persist,
The word is persist, not persist.
learning, and that if I could persist, I would achieve something in this field. Inspired,
Look at this again here. Using a participle to begin the sentence, inspired by his remarks. Remember before he said disappointed, I forgot the sentence. But he started the previous sentence by saying disappointed. Here he starts the sentence by saying inspired.
his remarks. The next morning, I summoned up my gut.
Okay, I know what he's doing here. Because in English there is, let's call it an idiom, summon up your courage. Summon up your courage. Now he's using guts as a synonym for courage, but unfortunately in English that doesn't work. You can't say you summon up your guts. Summon up only goes with courage, not guts.
Inspired by his remarks, the next morning I summoned up my guts and handed in my application for transfer
To transfer.
from the PE department to the English department of my unit. Fortunately, the chancellor approved my application,
Well, that's a great word to use when you're talking about universities. The chancellor.
and this decision turned out to be a right one.
But see, here we are talking about a specific decision. So this decision turned out to be the right one. The right one.
As a couple of years later, I graduated a high distinction.
You can graduate a high distinction. You can graduate with distinction. So as a couple of years later, I graduated with distinction.
From this experience, I learned a lesson that
Lesson.
sometimes we just have to take the risk for what we really want, and everything comes at a price.
We have to take a risk. Here, it's not the, it's a, because it's a risk in general. You're not talking about a specific risk. We have to take a risk for what we really want. Everything comes at a price. This is a nice phrase to end it with.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
There's another phrase. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Very good.
And that is the experience I want to share with you.
All right. Nice ending. Here's another response.
Well, I would like to talk about the times, yeah, that
Whoa. I would like to talk about a time. Let's drop the yeah.
I decided to travel and maybe to study overseas
Well, which one is it? Is it travel or is it study? Are you not sure yourself? And this word is overseas, not overseas.
for 4 years. It will be quite of
It will be. But this happened in the past, right? Because he decided. Oh, maybe it is in the future. But here he's using the past tense. Will. Past tense. I don't know what's going on with the tenses.
4 years. It will be quite of serious decisions that took me.
Why is this decisions? Because it's only one decision. So it's quite a serious decision.
Serious decisions that took me and my family over a month to think about it, right? So
That took my family and I over a month to think about. We don't need the it because we already know what the it is. The it is the serious decision. I love the right. The examiner doesn't know.
a month to think about it, right? So during this time, we visited a lot of English institutions.
Did you just say English?
We visited a lot of English institutions and those overseas study agencies.
Now here he's saying those as if it's specified which ones. I don't know which ones. Drop the those because this is not specified. It's just overseas study agencies.
To gather the knowledge or the basic background from which country I should study in.
Background knowledge about. Background knowledge from. About? So, background knowledge about possible countries I can study in.
And also what kind of courses I'm going to face.
I'm not sure you face a course. What kinds of courses I'm going to take. Or I was going to take, because this was in the past, right? So what kind of courses I was going to take.
After I stayed in another country.
But why is it after you stayed in another country? It's while you stayed, not after. Because, I mean, you attend the courses while you were in the other country, not after.
Well, so just a lot of problems or dilemmas that came up across our mind.
It's not across our minds. It's just crossed, not across. Across is a preposition. A lot of problems or dilemmas crossed our minds. Our minds, our, plural, minds.
So we even thought about maybe we should.
Oh, wait a second, let's go back a little bit.
Dilemmas that came up across our mind, which is quite frustrated.
Okay, so he's confusing frustrated and frustrating. The dilemmas are frustrating because they make you feel frustrated. Here we're back to the present tense. I don't know what's going on with the tenses. He's all over the place.
So we even thought about maybe we should just quit it.
So we thought about quitting.
Well, all those costs will be accumulated and
We're back to the future tense. All those costs would add up. I don't think costs accumulate. No, that's okay. You can say accumulate. Or maybe add up.
the high stress for my family.
Again, stress, there's no the cause high stress. Not high stress, a lot of stress. Cause a lot of stress for my family.
Well, however, my father and one of the teachers that I encountered that gave me a lot of support, which completely changed my life. I would say.
No, wait a second. This sentence is not finished. What's going on here? However, my father Oh, no, wait, here. My father and one of the teachers that I encountered that gave me a lot of support. My father. So, I'm guessing the teacher gave him support, or his father. I'm not sure. Which completely changed my life. My father and one of the teachers that I encountered that gave me a lot of support. There should be no that here, I think. My father and one of the teachers that I encountered gave me a lot of support, which completely changed my life. Okay. So, too many relative pronouns here.
I would say I hadn't a lot
I would say I hadn't a lot of the, you could say. Okay, what's gonna happen next?
of the, you could say, the ambitions, right?
I hadn't. Is he switching to British English now? Okay, maybe it's okay.
Ambitions, right? On changing, on
Oh, by the way, ambition, not countable. I didn't have a lot of ambition.
providing the better living standard for my family. Well,
Oh my goodness, what is going on here? These ideas are not connected. I didn't have a lot of ambition, right? Okay. But you don't have ambition on something. You have ambition for something. So I didn't have a lot of ambition for changing or to change. But to change what? I don't understand. On providing a better living standard for my family. So I didn't have the ambition to provide a better living standard for my family.
ambitions, right? On changing, on providing the better living standard for my family. Well,
however, those don't go together. Well, I guess they could. Well, however, okay.
This kind of ideas also make me feeling quite of guilty.
Oh my goodness. Made me feel. Made doesn't go with a gerund. It goes with a bare infinitive. Also made me feel quite guilty. Dropped off.
Then the tutor from which English institutions is not quite of appropriate to mention over here.
Okay, so the tutor from an English institution, which I don't want to name right now, told me, I don't know why there's a he there, because he already said it's the tutor, told me,
Yourself, right? It's not
I'm sure he didn't say right.
which English institutions is not quite of appropriate to
Oh, hang on a second. Okay, never mind. Forget about the plural there.
mention over here. He told me it's not about yourself, right? It's not about your family.
It's not about yourself. It's not about your family. All right.
It's basically just a process or maybe a procedure in life which would transcend or just alleviate your thought into another level.
Oh my goodness, it's beginning to sound like a religious experience. What is going on here? So going to university is a process or a procedure that will transcend. I don't know, transcend what? To transcend something means to go beyond. Alleviate means to make something feel better. I think it means elevate. Elevate means like to go higher. Because he's talking about his thoughts. So maybe it's elevate your thoughts to another level. Wow, this sounds mystical. Okay, elevate your thoughts to another level.
Transcend or just alleviate your thought into another level. Those are the experience that you
Those are the experiences that you accumulate.
or just went through
Now we're to the past tense now for some reason.
without value or maybe
The experiences you accumulate without value. It sounds to me like this guy is just saying words now.
without the evaluated or substantial.
Yeah, he's just saying words. Nothing goes together.
How to say that? With this clarified, right?
I don't know. Who are you asking? No one knows what you're trying to say.
With the value could not be clarified. Maybe.
The value could not be clarified. Are we still talking about going to university? The value of going to university cannot be clarified. This is pretty incoherent.
Something quite of priceless. It's a priceless.
Well, priceless is an adjective. We don't need an for that. It's not a noun.
So during this times you must.
During this time,
I might encounter a lot of difficulties, and he told me, with all those problems overcame,
with all those problems overcome,
it would help me to foster some of the toughness in my heart.
Man, this guy is really selling this university course. Foster some toughness in my heart. I can't say that's wrong. Maybe just drop this. Foster some toughness in my heart. Drop the off. Drop the.
And also with that attitude,
The word is attitude. There is a D sound.
nothing could lay as an obstacle in my future.
I'm guessing he's trying to say obstacle, but he said optical, which is a completely different word. With that attitude, I could overcome any obstacle. I think that's what he's trying to say. I could overcome any obstacle. The verb for obstacle is overcome.
So just tried my best
I don't know why we're in the past tense here.
to stay in there to see if I can
Stay in there. Okay, it's the university to stay. See, he says there, like we know what he's talking about. Now I have to guess. Is he talking about the university?
survive, or just whether I could deal with all those challenges. If things go south,
Ah, that's great. If things go south. Here's a nice phrase. If things go south. I think he's going to explain it now.
things go south. I mean, if things just not worked out,
Okay, so going south means things don't work out. So if things don't work out, not work out, if they don't work out, I could always come back.
I can always come back.
Maybe go back. Unless he's at the university right now. Or at home, rather. If he's at home, you can say always come back. But if you are saying this in the examination room, you should say go back, because you're in a different place, not come, it would be go.
So with this encouragement, or the how to say this,
I don't know. If you say this, you're telling the examiner you don't have the vocabulary to discuss the topic.
thing,
Soothing.
consultant, I finally decide I should stay and at least give myself a shot.
Give myself a shot. That sounds like you're giving yourself an injection. So with this encouragement and the soothing consultant, I decided to give it a shot. If you try something, you give it a shot. You don't give yourself a shot.
I should stay and at least give myself a shot on to see how far I can go.
Maybe just give it a shot. Alright, I guess we're moving on to part 3 here.
What is the role of parents in the making decision in the family?
Oh my goodness, what is going on here? What's the role of parents in decision making in the family? It's decision making.
The making decision in the family. Well, so generally, parents, they
I noticed he really likes to start his answers by, well, so. Be careful of overusing discourse markers.
are people who more
Oh my goodness. Generally, parents, they. Why do we need a pronoun right after the noun? Generally, parents are people who are more experienced.
experienced since they have already worked in the society for.
Okay, in English and in Chinese, we don't use in the society the same way. So people don't join the society when they start work. Students are part of the society also, in English thinking anyway. So they've already worked for a certain period of time. I'm not sure why this is necessary, but alright.
Certain period of time, and also they have their own connections, and usually
Connections is a good point.
they would come up with more
But now we're in the past tense. Why? And usually they can.
logical ideas to help the family just avoid problems or get into a better situation.
This is very vague talk. Avoid problems. Get into a better situation. Example?
Usually they would play the leading role or
Or play the leading role. That's a good phrase.
the key determiners, right?
I don't know who he's asking. The key determiners. They would play the leading role in what? In the family? Oh, here he goes on to say in the family. Okay, sorry.
Key determiners, right? In the family matters.
In family matters. There's no the. Okay.
Compare this with the parental roles in early generation.
I don't know what this refers to. Compare this. Compare what? If you ever get a question like this, please ask the examiner what they're talking about. But you won't ever see a question like this. This word is parental. Parental.
Well, so
So again,
as far as I'm concerned,
as far as I am concerned,
the roles of the parent
the roles.
here in China, since we are a country quite of
Oh my goodness, why do we need this part here? The sins, drop the sins. The role of the parents here in China, talk about the roles. Don't throw in history here. This just makes it very difficult to follow. The role of the parents here in China haven't. This is roles. So, roles. But why is this it?
traditional, it hasn't been changed a lot.
It hasn't changed a lot. We don't need the passive here. The roles haven't changed a lot.
Right? So it's still that parents, they play the
Again, we have the parents and then we have the pronoun.
major determined factors when it's
They play the determined factors. Play and factors don't go together. Play and role go together. So parents play. Let's go back to this. So parents play a major role when it comes to
important in the future.
whatever importance important in the future. There's no verb here. What is going on?
Determine factors when it comes to whatever importance important in the future.
Important is an adjective, so we need a be verb. So when it comes to whatever is important in the future. Parents play a key role when it comes to whatever is important in the future. Okay, I don't know why it's just in the future. Why not the present?
Well, so it's just exactly like in the ancient China.
So it's just exactly like in the ancient China. So is he saying it's the same? It's exactly like. So the same?
That the parental or the paternal.
Okay, he went from the noun to the adjective.
Parental or the paternal.
Paternal?
Systematic still.
Adjective. Where's the noun? Paternal. You can say paternal family structure. Paternal usually goes with the family structure. It means like the father is the head of the household. The father is the head of the family. Paternal family structure. Systematic is another adjective. Don't put two adjectives together if there's no noun. Still kicking in. To kick in means to start, to take effect. Start, to take effect. But he's talking about ancient China. This is like, why is this just starting now? You can't use ancient China and then kicking in together. If something kicks in, it starts now. Still working quite well.
Yes. Therefore, it hasn't been any change.
Whoa, we spoke quite quick there at the end. Maybe here, let's just change this to, so therefore there hasn't been any change, or there haven't been any changes.
How much freedom do you think young people will have in the future?
Wow, that's a hard question.
Well, so
Well, so again,
I guess in the future it will be full of possibility.
the future will be full of possibility.
Right, and after the youngsters, they traveled and studied overseas a bit in the
We're talking about the future and we're using the past tense. Oh my goodness. Why? And here we have youngsters and then we have the pronoun again. So after youngsters travel and study overseas a bit, why not overseas? But alright.
foreign country, which they have the chance to.
Where? Country is a place. Where? Not which. Where they have the chance to
Involve,
get involved.
they participate into a lot of the democracy.
Okay, so where they can participate in democracy. I don't know how you can participate into a lot of democracy. Okay, where they might participate in democracy.
I guess they would trying to fight for the freedoms in the past after they get back to.
Fight for the freedoms in the past. Remember, we're talking about the future. Whoa, this is confusing.
Their family maybe come back to you in China. Besides, well, I guess future is the time they might also have their own kids or their own family.
Is there a difference between having your own kids and having your own family? Isn't that the same thing?
Maybe just like cycling, all right?
I think the word he's looking for is cycle. Cycle, not cycling. Cycling is like riding a bike. It's a cycle.
They would play the paternal or maybe the parenting side.
They would play the paternal. What is happening here? But what if the kid is a woman or a girl? How is she going to be paternal? Paternal is for males. I think he just learned this word and now he's trying to use it everywhere, but not appropriately.
As their parents did in the past.
What? Wait, I need to go back to see what he's trying to say. Maybe just like a cycle, they will play the paternal part. But how on earth can a woman play a paternal role? The word for women is maternal. This makes no sense.
Paternal or maybe the parenting side as their parents did in the past.
Well, then what about all the democracy stuff? What was that about? I don't understand. Oh, there's more.
Yeah, so they would dominate. Okay.
They would dominate. Dominate what? Dominate their children? Okay, there are some ideas in this answer, but they are not connected at all. Very difficult to know what he's trying to say.
Would dominate. Okay.
This topic is a difficult decision you once made and proven to be right in the end.
The grammar in the question doesn't make sense either. A difficult decision you once made, which proved to be right in the end. So a difficult decision you once made, which proved to be
and proven to be right
which proved to be right in the end.
in
Okay.
the end. You should say when you made this decision and what the decision was, who was with you, and explain why you had a deep impression on this decision.
You can't have a deep impression. You had a deep impression of this decision. Why you had a deep impression of this decision? I don't know what that means. Let's just listen.
Well, a difficult decision is whether starting a jogging routine.
This is a terrible introduction. Okay, so a difficult decision for me was whether I should start a jogging routine. Me. It's not a difficult decision for everybody, only for me.
Routine. In the last year, I made a decision to jog every day as long as the weather is fine, and it took me nearly a week before I finalized the decision.
Before I finalized the decision. Okay.
The reason why I had been feeling so torn
Torn. I think what he's trying to say is the reason why it took so long. The reason why it took so long. Oh no, that's not right. No, sorry. The reason why he was feeling torn. Sorry.
being feeling so torn between whether or not to jog regularly.
Now, regularly is an adverb, so I don't know why there's a here.
Is I had been busy with my work for
Look here, now he's using. Let's go back there. I had been. Okay, so he's using the past perfect continuous, and here he's using the past perfect. I'd been busy with my work. I don't know why he's using the past perfect tense here, because I've been busy with my work. Okay, I guess he's thinking in his mind the decision came after him being busy with his work. Alright.
with my work
Well, in that case, it's good grammar, actually, using the past perfect tense here. The past perfect tense is used to talk about things that happened before certain other things happened in the past.
nearly 1 year, which made me barely any time or mood doing any exercise.
Which made me barely any time. So here's an adverb, and then we have a noun. Which left me with no time to. Which made me barely any time. Which left me with barely any time. I don't know, why is there a mood here? He's talking about time, right? Not how he feels. Which left me with barely any time to do any exercise. Yeah, I think.
Every day, after a long and hard work day,
After a long and hard work day.
all I wanted was nothing but putting my feet up.
It's nothing but to. Want doesn't go with ing. All I wanted was nothing but to put up my feet. Want is not followed by a gerund.
And just taking a nap or
And just take a nap.
something like that. But what I have to admit is that too much time involved in work without nearly any physical exercising had made me out of shape.
Had left me out of shape.
I always felt under the weather, suffering from headache or cold every now and then. So
Actually, this is pretty good. Under the weather, that's a nice phrase. When you're feeling a bit sick.
yes, it's time for me to do something to change this situation.
But now we're back to the present tense. I mean, before he was using the past perfect tense and everything looked good. And now we're back to the present tense. Here we're going to the past tense again.
Me to do something to change this situation.
Okay, so it was time for me to do something to change the situation.
Finally, I decided to begin to jog.
To begin the jog, to begin jogging. If you say begin the jog, you're talking about a specific jog, but here it's just a type of exercise, right? So to begin jogging.
And this decision turned out to be a wise move,
That's a nice phrase. Wise move.
making me a better man. It's beneficial to me both physically and mentally.
Oh, that's pretty good. Physically and mentally. I hope he's going to discuss both of those. Here we go. First example. First of all,
Jogging helps me tone up my muscles
it's not tone up, it's just tone. Tone my muscles.
and keeps me in pink.
Okay, he's trying to use an idiom there, but it's keeps me in the pink. If you are very healthy, then you are in the pink.
Before I started jogging, I often felt kind of pain in my neck.
I often felt a kind of pain. Why kind of? I often felt a pain in my neck. A pain. Pain is countable.
And the waist,
The waist.
and suffered a lot from years mentioned above.
From years. Did he say mentioned above? What?
Years mentioned above.
Mentioned above. In speaking, you can't say mentioned above because there's nothing above you. You can only use mentioned above in writing, because in writing there is something above the sentence you're currently writing. Don't say that in speaking.
As I had to stay in front of computers all day long, but now all the pains are gone for good, and I can't remember the last time I came down with some cold or headache.
Oh, look at this. Came down with a cold. If you get a cold, instead of get, you can say come down with. That's a great phrase.
What's more, jogging is also helpful.
Now we have jogging and we have it. Why do we need the pronoun here? Why not just say jogging is also helpful?
For my mental health. Whenever I'm in blue,
Okay, so this guy is trying to use idioms, but he almost always gets them wrong. Whenever I'm blue, not in blue, just blue. When you're sad, you're blue.
we always have the magical power to cheer me up and get me out of depression. And I can also sort through my problems
The word is sort through my problems.
and my emotions through jogging, which has made me more focused and balanced. So as you can see, although I had wrestled with
Now, in the word wrestle, there is a T, but the T is silent. It's not wrestled, it's just wrestled. But it's a nice phrase, wrestle with what? The idea of whether or not jogging. Wait, what? Although I had wrestled with the idea of whether or not jogging for a long time. Let's listen.
the idea of whether or not jogging for a long time.
Oh, I understand. Whether or not to jog. Okay. So although I had wrestled with the question of whether or not to jog, so it's a yes/no question. Yes, I should jog. No, I shouldn't jog.
Idea of whether or not jogging for
To jog. Whether or not to jog.
a long time, my decision has been proven helpful.
All right. Some part 3 questions.
What is the most important factor in decision making?
Good grief.
Well, it depends on what kind of decision you are going to make.
Good point.
If you feel torn between different jobs, the salary is normally the top priority.
Oh boy. It sounds like he's struggling with words like salary and priority, which means he doesn't feel very comfortable using these words.
For those who are supposed to bring home the bacon.
Okay, here's an idiom he uses correctly. To bring home the bacon, to earn a living, to make money.
And if you want to go traveling and have to choose one of the holiday destinations,
Why don't you just say and choose a holiday destination?
you would probably go for the one
Okay, so here instead of saying choose, he says go for.
where you can enjoy a beautiful view and the cost you need to pay will not be beyond your budget.
The cost you need to pay. Why not just say the cost? Because the cost is something you need to pay, right? We can drop this part.
Should parents make decisions for their children? Well, I think parents should make decisions for their kids when they are very young,
Logical.
say infants, because they are too young to take care of themselves.
Good
So
point.
things like what to eat,
Look at the phrases here. Because, so, alright, logical, easy to understand.
and when to go to bed should be planned by their parents to make sure they lead a healthy life. But I think parents should give their kids a say in some aspect.
Give their kids a say. Alright, so the kids have a voice too. The kids can help or take part in the decision making.
After they go to primary school,
But see now, he struggles again with primary.
like what courses they should take and when to finish their homework, which will nurture their later life in terms of time
The way he says later sounds a lot like little, doesn't it?
life, in terms
Oh, come on now.
of nurture their later life,
They're little. It's close.
in terms of time management.
Which will nurture their life in terms of time management. Oh my goodness, no. You can't use nurture and time management together. You can nurture people, which will, what was he saying before? So when to finish their homework will help them learn better time management skills, which will help them later in life because they're learning better time management skills.
Will nurture their later life in terms of time management and also help them to find what they truly love.
What? If they finish their homework, they will find out what they truly love. Why is that true?
They truly love.
Alright.
What can people learn from wrong decisions? Well, although no one wants to make mistakes,
No one wants to make mistakes.
we cannot avoid it.
I guess here the it means like making decisions, not the mistakes. So it's okay to use it instead of them.
And also, we can learn a lot from them.
But first he said it, now he says them. Not consistent.
Normally, we can avoid making the same mistake again in the future by reflecting on the whole process
That's a nice phrase, reflecting on the whole process, yeah?
and the reason that leads to our wrong
The reason that list, I don't know what that is.
behavior.
That you are wrong behavior. You can't be behavior. And the reasons for your wrong behavior? The reasons for your wrong behavior?
If handled properly, the wrong decisions once made can make us better.
Oh my goodness. Example, please. Do you like to make quick decisions? This is not a part 3 question.
Like to make quick decisions? No. Making decisions in a rush always leads to some mistakes
Always?
that could have been avoided if we think twice, I suppose. When you try to make some decision as soon as possible, you would probably ignore some important details or aspects which makes your
Okay, this is a good point. You might overlook some details or other aspects.
decision far from being considerate or rational. So every time when I want to jump to conclusion,
When I want to jump to a conclusion, conclusions are countable. It's a nice phrase, but he gets it just a little bit wrong.
on something,
When I want to jump to conclusions about something,
I just tell myself to take a deep breath and calm down.
Okay, but like I said, the answer doesn't really matter because it's not really a part 3 question.
Do you think adults always make good decisions than children?
Good than. Oh my goodness. Do you think adults always make better decisions than children? Use the comparative.
Well, in most cases, yes. Compared to kids, adults tend to rationally weigh the pros and cons of it.
That's such a nice phrase. Look at this here. We have an adverb, rationally. We have a verb, weigh. Rationally weigh the pros and cons. That's a great phrase.
Pros and cons of every possible option before they finalize a decision.
And look at this verb for decision, finalize. Very nice.
Due to being mentally and emotionally immature,
And look at these adjectives used to describe. Actually, let me take that back. Look at these adverbs used to describe this adjective. Mentally and emotionally immature. Very nice.
kids jump to conclusion on a whim.
But now he makes the same mistake rather. Jump to conclusions, plural, on a whim. Oh, on a whim, that's a great phrase. So on a whim is without thinking about something.
which usually turns out to be wrong or unwise.
It's too bad about the little bit of repetition there at the end.